All right, next question. How we decided on characters, their names, strengths, and weaknesses.
Oh, how did we actually do this?
It's mostly your side, right?
Yeah. I was for sure throughout the whole design process, like into Lord of the Rings, Nordic mythology, and stuff like that. And like Dungeons and Dragons, you know.
You just name dropping to be cool. Or...
No, but it's just like where my headspace was. What was at basically?
Still is.
Still is. And you know, I definitely wanted to, basically I wanted to create the like basic adventure game characters, but a little bit like toned down. And then you came up with basically the name, like the Misfits, like to portray them as like the regular dudes. Didn't make the cut actually.
Right.
The third choice of heroes, basically,
Yeah.
who throughout Dark Omen only become heroes later on, right? So every single character we designed is just, the regular guy from the village, with their personal traits. And I remember, just because we were in like the Nordic themes, right? we translated, some words into Icelandic or into Norwegian or something. And out of these words, we built names.
Was that what happened? I didn't even realize. You just dropped all these names one day. You were like,
exactly.
EP and Blackia, and I was like, oh, these are great names. Where did they come from?
Yeah, it was basically, all of these names, they mean like different things in like Nordic languages.
Fun.
And, for example, Lumi, right? I stole that name from good friends of ours in Switzerland. They named their daughter Lumi, and
Born in the swamps.
He is half Finnish.
Oh,
like my wife, and Lumi means snow.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I didn't know that.
And a lot of like Nordic names have an actual meaning to it, and I like that concept.
So what are some of the strengths and weaknesses of some of the characters?
Talking about strengths, we have giant strength. These are our two tank characters, Nifrid and Jernhand. They can manipulate their dice a little bit.
Do a little bit more damage, you mean?
Exactly. They can add more damage to their attack rolls. Then they can also transport people over the board a little bit, help them with their action points. Just imagine the big guy is carrying a smaller person. Then we have Parand, the healer. He's our, like cleric, maybe, right?
Seem that way.
Yeah. He can get rid of his own curses by the runes, but he also can make them disappear for you. It costs a little bit, but that's one cool thing.
I like Visco. He's one of my favorite. He's becoming more and more of my favorite character.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about
Visco. So Visco's he's like this kind of gnarled old dude who's kind of been traveling everywhere, and he's got this bird. Is it a raven? I think
it's a raven.
He's got a raven, and I really like playing with him because he's got some fun abilities. He's able to kind of get an extra action point in when really needed. He can send his bird out around him to pick up loot for him. I don't know if we wrote it in that you have to make a call sound, but now that I think it, and you need to get up the loot tiles. Yeah. I find that actually really valuable because it makes him a little bit more flexible in gathering resources. And it
saves them action points.
That's exactly what it is. So he's kind of actually like a really resource-heavy guy because he's able to kind of grab the loot panels around him. And then, of course, there's the Blackians. She's got swift feet. which means that her first movement every turn is 0 action points. And we struggled with that, actually. That was a challenge, because I think we had given her extra action points to begin with, even maybe 2, and there came a point where it was just broken. We recognized that giving characters too much
overpowered
is exactly what it was, right? And that means less fun. That's really at the end. Like, overpowered is fine, really, sometimes when it's fun, but then you realize things aren't challenging because they're overpowerful. So that was a lot of balance.
Exactly. When it's a reward,
Yeah.
you actually love to be overpowered for a certain amount of time. But when your character is overpowered in one specific field all the time, you just break the game.
Absolutely. And who's our trader in the game? Who's the one who's good at trading and gambling?
That is, Jesus, what is his name, dude?
Nerky.
This is hilarious.
So Nerky was a player that a character that I actually stayed away from quite often because I was like, oh, I want the strong dudes, I want the swift feet. But then I started playing a bit more with Nerky. And what are his strengths?
He was born and raised on the markets of Idaya. And he's very, very good at trading. So,
What does that mean specifically in the game?
So he gets buffs whenever it comes to gold rewards.
Yep.
Rewards in general.
Yep.
He has buffs when it comes to buying gear. He can make it cheaper for him and potentially for the other players because you can exchange gear. No spoilers, but
Well, those types of synergies and strategies are for players to explore. But okay, so he's clever with money, he's good at trading, and he gets buffs.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that can also be very beneficial in the game as well. So if you're able to get better gear earlier on, it makes you basically stronger, makes you do more damage, and there's a lot of accessories which gives you fun freedoms and fun skills in the game. So it's a very different approach to playing, actually.
Yeah.
Instead of saying I'm stronger or faster, you're actually better with money, and you get your advantage that way.
Exactly. And then Eisenbreeder.
Oh, I like her.
Eisenbreeder is super cool. She's our dwarven smith.
Yeah.
Her ability is to repair damaged weapons and damaged shields.
Yeah.
Basically, on the field without the need of going to different locations. So she's basically a mobile
Yeah.
repair shop.
And how does that work when you talk about damaged shields?
So most of our shields have damage tokens, basically. When a shield is completely, new and full, you can put like 2 or 3 tokens on that shield. And whenever you don't want to take damage, you can invest one of these armor tokens, basically, or shield tokens, and your shield gets damaged by the impact of the enemy.
So just to be clear, so regular armor that you would be putting on, that reduces all incoming damage, right? So if I have a +1 armor, say chainmail, right, that reduces all incoming damage by 1. However, the shield, if you spend that token, it reduces all your damage once to 0.
Exactly.
So completely reduces all your damage. So it's a very strategic use, and Eisenbreeder can fix these on the fly instead of having to go to a smith.
A smith.
To fix
Exactly.
Cool. Let's see here. So there's a lot of thought that's been put into these characters. Each plays differently. There are these 4 main traits. So we talked about swift feet. We talked about giant strength. We talked about cunning, which is kind of the trait ability, and then we talked about attunement, which has to do a bit more with the ruins and these abilities that you have. So a bit more in tune, meditative. Anything else to talk about the characters?
No, I think we've wrapped it up pretty good.
Cool. All right.